This podcast is proud to be part of the Talksport Fan Network. Talksport. Powered by fans.
Hi, and welcome to another away end. We're after an FA Cup weekend. Seems like another mini break. We go back into league action with us and up against a fellow chasing promotion team in Stockport at this present moment. So I'd like to welcome Russ Johnson from the Scarf, a Bagara War podcast. So thank you very much for joining us. And I have to ask, tell me about the name because it's superb and it intrigues me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way. That's first and foremost. The name is it's a combination of two things. So we had our Uruguayan manager in the 90s called Danny Bagara, which I'm sure a lot of Blues fans will know. And the fun fact about him is he was the first foreign manager to lead an English domestic team out at Wembley before all your Klopps and Mourinho's and what have you. He's an absolute legend because he kind of turned the club around in the late 80s, early 90s. And then we have a chant on the terraces called "The Scarf My Father Wore," and you'll hear that on Wednesday night for those that go to the game. So it's just a combination of those two things.
Fantastic. And tell us a bit about the podcast. So obviously, first time for a while that as Birmingham fans, we've been able to go through anything. So tell us a bit about yourselves, how long you've been going, etc.
So we've been going since 2015 when we was in National League North. I don't know why we started it the day after we got beat by 6-1 by Wrexham. No idea why we started a podcast, I'll be honest with you, but we did. Because there wasn't one at the time, and we've been going ever since. We've been award nominated now in the Football Content Awards. We've never won anything in our Northwest Football Awards. We do two podcasts a week, one live, one pre-recorded, and then special podcasts. Yeah, we're quite well known amongst the county fan base. And get to talk to the chairman and some players and stuff. So it's really nice. Yeah, it's good.
So you get another podcast that gets a chance to interact with their club, speak to players and speak to chairman. Something that we are working heavily on with Tilton Talk. So no, appreciate you joining us. So wow, we've come up against the Stockport side that we haven't actually played against. I think, if I remember rightly, since 2001 was our last game against each other. But actually, you are one of those teams that started very, very early doors, the same as ourselves. So, in fact, looking back over the history, our first game against each other was actually Boxing Day 1900. And Birmingham were not Birmingham then. They were actually known as Small Heath. And as I mentioned, we go into our last game back in 2001. We've actually played a total of 41 games against each other, I believe it is, of which Birmingham have won 23, we've drawn 5 and we've lost 13. So fair to say, it's not the worst record for yourselves. And over the years, the results have been mixed. We also, our last 5 games, again, interesting reading, but not from a Stockport fan perspective, because it's actually the last 5 have seen 4 wins for Birmingham and a draw, with the last one being a 3-0 win at Edgeley Park. So it is going back over the years, but it's going to be good to get you down to St Andrews at Knighthead Park. Another bumper crowd, no doubt, as we go into that game, and no doubt a good following from yourselves. But you go into the game, as we do, off the back of a win at the weekend in the FA Cup. I think 3-1 win for yourselves. Hard fought from what I saw from the highlights of the game, but broke through with the third goal right towards the end of the game. Birmingham with a 2-1 win up at Blackpool, goals from Lyndon Dykes and Lucas Djukovic. So a bit of a mixed side that we put out. But you're having a brilliant start to the season. So tell us, firstly, where did you think you were going to be at this point in the season? And did you think you would be up in the realms of where you are. And tell us a little bit about the Stockport side. So, what are your strengths? Where, if any, do you have it from a weakness perspective? And who should we look out for going into Wednesday evening?
Yeah, okay. So let's start with a quick bit off the pitch because people might be surprised that we're fourth, and we're kind of not because we've had a lot of investment in when we was in National League in 2020. We were invested in by a local businessman who's got deep pockets, and his vision was to get to the Championship within 7 years. So we're on track for that. We've got another 3 years to get to the Championship. So this season was all about, I'm not going to say consolidation, just more progress.
Mm-hmm.
Since 2015, I think I'm right in saying we've improved on our league position year on year, and we'll do that this season because it's our first year in League One for 14 years, I think. So we're not surprised. I mean, before the season started, I'd have taken top half.
Yep.
Because what we've done is we've changed our sort of recruitment model, not recruitment model, our team sort of squad model. Last season, we sort of added on to what won the National League, and we bought ourselves out of the way, out of the National League. We absolutely did that. But last season we just added a few additions to that, so we got out of the League Two,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty impressively, really. I think based on few additions to the squad. With a loss at Wembley in the middle of that, but this season, some are saying, yeah, well, we want to be the playoffs. Others are saying, well, why can't we finish second? It's almost unanimously sort of agreed that Birmingham will finish top because of the amount you've spent, the experience you've got, and the players you've got. I don't think it's unrealistic to say that. So everyone's sort of scrambling for second, and some people are saying, well, why can't we be second?
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at all the underlying data, I think I've heard other podcasts around the place, not the top 20, are saying underlying data, we're actually the best performers on underlying data. And I know people go, oh, XG, underlying data, blah, blah, blah. But it all makes up, the facets of the game, doesn't it? So
Yep.
I'd be happy with top half, but I know people want to be in the playoffs. And like I say, we've got 3 years to get to the Championship. Plans to build up the ground to an 18,000 seater. You'll see it when you come on is it New Year's Day you come into our place?
Yeah. It's an interesting one that is on that day.
Yeah, bring bring some sunglasses because the new scoreboard will definitely burn your retinas from where you're sat. But yeah, it's changed. It's probably, I mean, the stands haven't changed, but the whole sort of environment's changed. Award-winning food and things like that. So what I'm saying is there's loads of investment in the club, and you'll see that. And we're just going one way at the moment. So yeah, to answer your question, I know it was a bit long-winded, but it's not a surprise. We're happy to be fourth. That when we're beating teams, we're not beating them luckily. We absolutely put Bolton and Bolton to the sword 5-0, and Wrexham, we dominated Wrexham for 90 minutes, as I know you did. Wickham, they just came and did an absolute number on us, and I'm sure we'll learn from that. But yeah, just enjoying going back to St Andrews after 20 odd years, loving it.
I mean, what's interesting for me is you're not the first team that I've spoken to from a fan's perspective where investment now is coming into the game in this league. And I think people are now beginning to realise that two things. The league is actually, you've said there you think Birmingham will finish top, right? We as fans are all hoping that. But what we're seeing at the moment is actually teams that are capable of beating each other on the day. We've had poor results and then we've had great results. But we're seeing teams like Wickham, who we beat, and they haven't lost since. So they're absolutely flying, and I think it's not always around the players that you've got there. It's about the momentum that you can keep going as well. So it's great that there's more investment going into the lower leagues with a view to building that and getting teams into the Championship, and then ultimately out the Championship and into the Premier League where possible. And do you know what? They just hope that one day you can do it and be up there with the Reds and the Blues, because I won't mention their name because I know it's like swearing when I mention certain team in Birmingham as well. So tell us a little bit about what to expect on Wednesday night then. So obviously the first time we've played for over 20 years. So what can we expect from the Stockport side? How did you manage to generally set the team up?
So his ethos from day one has always been intensity is our identity. So he likes to play on the front foot. He likes to do the high press. Now, that's not probably going to work on. Well, I'm saying this. I don't know what it's going to be like on Wednesday. It's going to be intriguing. We tend to play either. Well, he can switch it between a five at the back or a four at the back, and generally speaking, when we're at home and we're going for it, or we're playing a team like Burton away, he will play five at the back, and he'll have our wing backs like bombing on and
Yeah.
supporting those high outfield, sort of high wingers at the top in supporting them. One of them, I'm sure we'll get onto soon, and I'll try not to mention his parent club. Um,
You
but
can mention it, I'll just bleep it out afterwards.
fair enough. So that's generally how he likes to play, and we've got two really good midfielders in the middle. One called Lewis Bate and one called Ollie Norwood. And I'm sure Blues fans will know Ollie Norwood from Sheffield United. Was in the Prem not too long ago, 2 seasons ago. So he's come in. How we've managed to sign him, I've no idea. I mean, it's clearly money. I know, let's be honest, but he's just brilliant. And Lewis Bate, who's 21, he's our captain. So they're going back to that young model. That's what we're trying to invest in. And we
That
are a
is
young
very
team.
young from a captain's perspective, actually. But leader now will only ever get better. So
Yeah.
that's a huge, huge positive from that front.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's learning. He's got a player next to him who's in his 30s. He played in the Premier League, and I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that he captained Sheffield United in the Premier League as well. He would have done at some point. So there's no better person to learn your trade off. Who play
Yeah.
in similar positions as well. Norwood maybe a bit more forward thinking, but Bate has been really really good in tight spaces. So whether he plays four at the back or five, Bate will be in that central midfield, sort of central defensive midfield slot, and Norwood will be next to him. I'm pretty sure of that. Depending on whether he goes four or five at the back will depend on who he plays in the personnel each side of that defence. But um, I'll be really, really pleased if we turn up and he's gone for it, because at least he's showing, let's take the game. Let's take the game to the hosts, and then
Yep.
if it starts to get away from us, he'll probably change it.
So you mentioned then about the defence and how that swaps up. What about your midfield and your strike force? And is there such a thing as a weakness in your team? Because for me, I mean, there's a weakness in everybody, and that's the
Yeah.
same for Birmingham. So where are your weaknesses, and how do you think you'll set up come Wednesday evening? Because it's interesting that you mentioned about the front press and like to be on the front foot, because that's exactly the same as we tend to see out of the Birmingham side, and the way that Chris Davies loves to set the team up. So it could make for a very, very open and interesting game, actually, if that's the case. And the strikes accord being very, very similar to what we saw when Birmingham played Wrexham.
Yeah. Yeah, and when and I'll get back to us playing Birmingham on Wednesday. But when we played Wrexham, they didn't really get a sniff, and we missed about four or five big chances. So if they came to press us, it only happened in the first 5 minutes, and then we started to put ourselves onto the game, impart our own selves onto the game, and have an influence on it. So they didn't really get a sniff. Will that happen on Wednesday? Probably not. I mean, you pound for pound, you've got better quality players than us, I would say, but I'm sure we'll have a go. I'm sure we'll have a go. It's interesting. We played Leicester a couple of seasons ago in the Carling Cup. I'm showing my age now, aren't I? Or Coca-Cola Cup. No, in the Carabao Cup. And we managed to get to 0-0 at full time, and he played like a four, two banks of four, and got them to really sort of hold on to the ball and try and keep the ball as much as they could against a decent Leicester side. I know they went down that season, but they were still Premier League, and we were League Two at the time, so might have been National. No, yeah, National League probably, but yeah, no, I think League Two. So what I'm saying is he's a good manager, Charlie. He will definitely adapt to what information he's been given from our like analyst team and all that kind of stuff, and the scouting team, and he will try and work it out. He won't just. I don't think he's blind enough just to go into it and go, "Oh, we're gonna go in and try and be on the front foot." And if he
Yeah.
does that, it'll be controlled. It'll be how far can we get away with it? If you start to get on top of us, pretty sure he'll change it. He's not adverse to making changes, wholesale changes at half time. So you're right. I think it's going to be really, really interesting, and interestingly as well, it's probably our biggest test since we dropped out of the league, 2012. So, we're coming here in terms of league games. It's probably our biggest test for years and years. So, yeah, I can't wait. Looking forward to it.
And tell us a bit about the strike force and who are your key players. You've already mentioned the player from the team whose name shall not be mentioned or
Yeah.
but no. Tell us about the team and those players to watch out for. And yeah, and like I say, is there a weakness? Is there a chink in the armory for yourselves?
Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. It's probably not going forward, but the chink in the armory is that we had our best central defender booked in the game against Burton, so he'll miss Wednesday night. So Ray Fraser Horsfall, he's a massive miss. It's likely to be. It's probably in a lot of county fans' eyes. It's likely to be the reason why we're probably going to lose the game on Wednesday, or not do as well as maybe we would if he was in the team. So he's definitely the biggest sort of missing link for us going forward. It's difficult to pick out a weakness because we've just for 9 years now we've just been on an upward trajectory. So
Yep.
It's difficult. It's hard to see. It's like when you're an uncle and you see your nephew and he's 3, and then you don't see him until he's 7, and then you go, bloody hell, you've grown, haven't you? It's a bit like that. People will see the difference, but we can't see the difference because we see it week in, week out. But going forward, yeah, I won't mention his club, but Louis Barry, and I'm sure he'll get roundly booed, and rightly so. That we love that about the game, don't we? He's just ripping up the stats. He's the top scorer in the country at the moment with 13. So he's really, really important for us. Didn't play in the FA Cup, probably because the team that won't be named don't want it to be cup tied. I don't know what's going to happen in January, but anyway, that he's a nuisance. I'm sure he'll be a nuisance, and it'll be his biggest test as well to play.
There was
Not
actually
only
talk, wasn't there, of a potential recall of his loan, and I think that's had a resounding no now, from what I understand and from the local press here as well. So, I mean, that'll be music to your ears. But it's fair to say players from that team do tend to turn it on big time when they play against us, and have had tendencies to score. I certainly hope that is not the case on Wednesday night, of course. But it wouldn't surprise me. And you mentioned there obviously the loss from the centre half partnership and stuff. How much of an impact do you really think that will have, though, from a team that is pretty settled and absolutely flying, I will say, in the league?
No, it's massive. Honestly, it's huge. I mean, I call him our Rolls Royce of a defender. He's a great defender. He rarely loses anything in the air, so he's going to be a massive miss. And if the others don't step up, so Pye, who's a product of our youth academy, Ethan Pye, and then we got Sam Hughes, formerly of Blackpool. No, not Blackpool. That's Connolly. Burton, I think he was. He's been pretty decent, but none of them are on the level of Fraser Horsfall. He's going to be a huge miss. Absolutely is. And then a couple of others just to mention. We do tick when we've got a lad called Carl Wotton up front. You'll see him. He's the big lad up front. Spends most of his time in headlocks, trying to bring the ball down. But he for some reason he does everything ticks when he's playing. And then the other one for us is Will Collar. Yeah, I mean, Blues fans probably never heard of him, but you'll look at him and go, yeah, he's decent. Definitely doesn't look out of place at the top of League One anyway. Really good player that we got from formerly of Brighton's academy, but went to Wraith Rovers and then we snagged him. So he's been with us since the National League, but he's just great, and he's one to look out for as well.
Excellent. I mean, I think this is sounding like it's going to be a great game, and then I think it always does make for interesting football when you've got two teams that are not afraid to play the high press and actually go at each other. And we are on that run at the moment where we want to continue with the winning ways in the league, off the back of the results at Exeter and everything else. It's we just want to be coming forthright with the way that we play. But also, this is the first game for weeks at home, so the anticipation levels with the fans obviously is also a lot greater. So it's going to make for interesting watching, and I think a great game for me for the neutrals. And we'll have to see how that actually goes. Um, Tell me a little bit then about obviously the fans. How many have you got travelling down to Birmingham, and what sort of raucous atmosphere, if any, can we expect from you guys?
Yeah, so I think we sold our allocation. I think so. It's 2,200. I think we were given. Um, yeah, we'll make a lot of noise. It's kind of, I wouldn't say a big day out for us. I won't go that far, but
Great following that is though. For a Wednesday night,
for a
that's
Wednesday
phenomenal.
night, yeah. Yeah, we do travel in numbers. We have done all, a lot of the time anyway. So for a club of our size, we get 9, 10,000 at home now these days, which is more than we did in the past. But yeah, we do travel in numbers. We will sing. We'll sing. We'll probably sing if we're losing, um, because it's just, I'm not saying we're happy to be here. We're not. We have got our ambitions, but it's just nice to play in a ground like this because, 4 years ago we were playing Solihull. Now we're playing Birmingham. Driving through Birmingham to get to Solihull or whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we're playing Birmingham. It's great. I know you're at your lowest ebb, and we're at the highest we've been for a long time. But notwithstanding that, yeah, it'll be raucous. We'll give you a bit of steak. You'll give us a bit of steak. I'm sure they'll be booing for Barry. We'll be singing for Barry. All these kind of things. It's just, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm so looking forward to it. I really am. Honestly, it beats going to Colwyn Bay away and Vauxhall Motors.
And I
Honestly.
take it from what you've said that you are travelling down to Birmingham for the game as well, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're going to come on the coach this time. A few of us are on the coach, so yeah, yeah, it'd be a good one. A few beers on the way and that.
Definitely. And I will say, obviously since the last time, well, did you come to St Andrews during the last game?
I've never been to St Andrews. No.
Oh, so you're going to experience it in a slightly different way because our fan park actually opens for the first time as well
Oh right.
on Wednesday evening. So
Oh nice.
it's going to be a bit of a totally different atmosphere. So I would say, if you get there early enough and you fancy the walk around, go and have a mooch around the stadium because it's such a difference. And these owners are just taking us forwards tenfold. It's
Nice.
unreal. Um, so you haven't mentioned, coming to St Andrews before, as you just said, you haven't been, but as clubs, we have had players that have represented both clubs over the years, and some fantastic ones. One, without fail, is going to come up, and he's a legend at both clubs. Um, so I'm not going to hang around for much longer. What I want you to do is, if you can, is name 5 players
Ugh.
that have either signed permanently or on loan across the clubs, or have represented both clubs over the years during their playing career. And there are some great names in this list, and some that I will say I learnt myself as I went along that have represented both.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to struggle with this. When you said it just before we came on air, I was like, oh my God. My memory's terrible at the best of times. Obviously, the obvious one is Kevin Francis. Um, Absolute legend here. Yeah, I've got him. I've got a picture of him up in my bar actually. And he's coming to the UK for Christmas as well. So we're hopefully
He
going to
is.
interview him.
He is indeed. He's. I have not long ago exchanged messages with him. I'm trying to get him down to a Birmingham game and catch up with him. Because he's a friend of Tilton Talk. He's actually joined us in between his shift as the police officer that he is,
Yes, that's
and
right.
he is still just a legend, obviously of both clubs, but at heart he is a Brummy, and never forget the fact he's on screen and there he is talking about going to work. Yet all that's around his neck is the Blues badge, and that is one thing that we'll never ever forget about that guy. He's a Blues fan through and through, and he loved it when he came. And I don't think I've still ever seen such a gangly guy strike a ball as well as what he did in one of the games. So,
Yeah.
yes, definite legend of both clubs, and looking forward to catching up with him and seeing him when he is back, like you say, over the festive period.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Definitely a legend. The other one, the other obvious one is probably Odin Bailey. So he's obviously on our books at the moment. He played for you.
Indeed.
Um, he's a cracking little player. Got his own song at county, so we'll probably sing that if he gets on. So yeah, and he scored a goal away at Swindon a couple of seasons ago, and it's my lad's favourite ever goal. And he loved it. The reason why he loved it is because it was limbs in the away end, and we went 3-2 up after being down 1-0 and 2-1. And I just lost him. He'd gone, I don't know, five rows somewhere else. I had to reconvene afterwards. It was good. So Odin Bailey. And then this is where I start to struggle now. There's a couple that I think might have done, but I'm gonna bow to your knowledge, and I haven't searched any of these up either, just because I didn't have time anyway, because you didn't give me time. So,
On the spot.
Yeah, I want to say Gary McSheffrey, because he came on loan here,
Correct.
I think, and I knew he played for Birmingham. I think he was on loan at us when we were like on our way down and on our way out. So that would have been a fleeting loan. Did Ashley Williams ever play for you?
No.
No, that was the only one. That was the only other one I can think of that might
You
have
did
done.
well with the Gary McSheffrey, though, I will say, because that was one player that I didn't realise had represented both clubs. I'll put you out your misery then.
Go on then, yeah, please do.
Some great names. I mean, first of all, we'll go back over the years, because you've mentioned Big Kev Francis. That was the 94-95 season when he came to Birmingham. But prior to that, as a gentleman, Bobby Thompson represented both clubs in the 67-68 season.
All right.
We've had Adam Legstons, who, again, goalkeeper for yourself and for ourselves. He was 2007, 2008. Chris Marsden, probably one of the most gifted midfielders that we have seen at our club.
I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't get that.
Yes, he was 97, 98 as well. And then other players to represent both clubs, and these were new to me as well. So firstly, goalkeeper from last year in John Ruddy from Birmingham.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was on loan at our play. Cracking keeper at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen Gleeson representing
both clubs. Yeah.
You seem to have had a bit of a thing for goalkeepers, because I've mentioned two already, but another one is Boaz Mile representing both clubs.
Yeah. Remember him? Yeah.
You've mentioned Gary McSheffrey already. Two more, both of them defenders, both of them solid. So Martin Tiny Taylor, again, friend of Tilton Talk and a true gent. And you know, he played superb when he was at Birmingham. And finally, another defender doing well as well at the moment as manager of Walsall in Matt Sadler. So
yes,
again, you know, represented both clubs and did well across definitely his time in Birmingham, and don't really think he got his opportunity as much as what we would have liked, actually. So, but doing a sterling job in charge of Walsall at the moment. So some great names that have really crossed the divide, as we say. So, right, so we get to that time of the show where I want to know what your head says and what your heart says in terms of the result on Wednesday night.
Ooh, yeah, this is a good one. So, heart definitely says I think we can get away with a point, possibly even a win, if I'm being, you know, completely optimistic. So I mean, if you gave me a point now, I'd take it, and I'd be back on the coach, and I'd be driving at 90 mile an hour back up to Stockport. But I think my head says, I think it's going to be a tough evening for us. So yeah, and having spoken to somebody pretty high up in the club as well, they were saying, yeah, it's probably going to be a tough evening for us. So my head is saying we're going to lose probably 2 or 3-1. But my heart is saying maybe we could get a draw, possibly nick it and shock you. So that's where I'm going with that.
And I think, I mean, firstly, it's the first game at St Andrews for such a while. You know, it's been a fair few weeks, so the fans are looking forward to it. They're more up for it. I think it is going to be a tough game. You know, we're going to find it hard to break you down, especially if you are playing on that front foot side of things. However, the last team that came out and tried to do that to us were Wrexham. They played on that front foot. They took the lead. And then after that, we just absolutely dominated. And I think in terms of possession, the one thing you're going to see is we are a team, as you know, that maintain possession and like to bomb forwards when we can. It will depend on the team and how he structures it going into it. I would hope that we see the same team as we did against Exeter, where we were playing Alfie May as that natural front number 9 and then coming off the wings with Stansfield. And I hope that we see that same again, because the balance of that team was superb against Exeter. So I'm going to go with, do I think we'll keep a clean sheet? I've just got this feeling that person from the other side of the city is going to score. So I'm going to go with actually one of the results you've mentioned there, and I'm going to say 3-1. I hope we do keep a clean sheet, but they just have these uncanny knacks of coming round and scoring against us. But it's going to be a good game. Looking forward to it. Like we say, a raucous atmosphere at St Andrews at Knighthead Park, a good following from yourselves, a big attendance from Birmingham as well. And it's going to play for a great night underneath the lights. So here's to a great game on Wednesday. Thank you very much, Russ, for joining us on the way end. It's very much appreciated. We'll do this again when we play. God, scary New Year's Day. But when we play again, we'll do this again. But thank you very much. And I'll sign off by saying, keep right on.
No worries. Cheers.